What's up, everyone? Welcome to Questlog. This is a new series I'm trying out where I can talk about World of Warcraft. We may do some animated sketch parodies about the game, just about anything that I really want to do. Today, I want to talk about Nostalrius, Vanilla WoW private server that Blizzard recently shut down. For those of you that don't know what a private server is, basically a group of people took and made available to play the original World of Warcraft, how it was before any of the expansions, before the Burning Crusade, Wrath of the Lich King, Cataclysm, Mist of Pandaria, Warlords of Draenor, how it was when it released in 2004. I came back to WoW after many years away from Azeroth around Warlords, and while I'm enjoying the game for how it's currently designed, I have to say that I had more fun with my one tune on Nostalrius than I did with all my tunes put together on live. And that's because I'm an adventurer. I'm an explorer. I like a challenge, and even at low levels, quests should be challenging. That's what the current game is lacking. And again, that's fine if that's how the game is designed now, but I should not be able to solo a dungeon at level 20. Which I do to give myself some sort of challenge. Queuing into my first dungeon was such a terrible, chaotic experience. Everyone immediately started to charge through while I was still attempting to accept and read the quest. I was left behind, and when I did catch up, there was no organization, there was no group, it was a murder train. I couldn't stop to see if an item was better or worse, if I needed it or if I could greet it. I couldn't stop to pick up the gather quest items. There was not 1 second of downtime. The best part was when the group left and I was finally alone so I could explore the dungeon, see what it looked like, and collect the items I needed for the quest. I understand most people don't want to spend a lot of time putting together a group. I get that. Maybe a better system could be put in place, but I absolutely loved finding a group in the dead mines on Nostalrius. It was a journey. It was a road trip. It's not always supposed to be easy work or turn out the way you think. That's what leaves the memories. That's what makes me feel immersed in an MMO. Later, you get to reflect on your experience. Man, I remember when we ran out of gas and had to pray we made it to the next exit. Yeah, I know, and then that old crazy guy at the station started yelling at us for blah, 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 blah. That's the stuff you remember. The trials that you go through to accomplish the goals. There's none of that in current WoW. Those players who I ran the dead mines with, we all friended each other afterwards because we had spent time together. We had accomplished something together. We had experienced something together. They all cheered for me when I won the Emberstone staff. It's hard to run dungeons now for me in live because I play to experience the game. If I run a dungeon, then I level up at least once, maybe twice. It turns a lot of my quests green, so if I want to do the quest for the story, it's almost as if I need to stay away from dungeons altogether, instead of the dungeons being a part of the overall experience. It's also worth to note that there's no real reason to go into the dungeon since you don't use gear more than 1 or 2 levels. I liked looting gear and being excited when it's green. If I couldn't wear it, then I could sell it for some small amount, and that small amount helped. It's those elements that make it feel like a role-playing game, an RPG, being, oh shit dog, I need those eggs, I need to level up my cooking. Sure, there are changes that could be made for quality of life, but not at the expense of feeling accomplished. If the point of WoW now is to get to endgame as soon as possible, then why even have the leveling experience? That's what I don't get. I love Warcraft enough that I'll probably always play on live servers, but I'm having to work to figure out how it's designed so I can try and play it that way so I can enjoy it. When I first came back, I tried not to take shortcuts. I wouldn't take the charger to the Eastern Evelyn Bridge, for example. I made sure I would walk there like we used to. That was the journey. But with absolutely no threat at all in the world or the forest, it didn't make the journey an adventure. It just made it a chore. I recently took on about 9 mobs at once and was perfectly fine. At this point, all it feels like I'm doing is running to one spot, clicking a button, running back, clicking a button, running back to the same spot, clicking a different button, etc., etc. It'd be like if I found a secluded part of a stream or forest while walking through some woods one day, and it was tough as hell to go through it like it was an actual journey, and when you get back, the guy says, hey, you actually need to go back there and get something else. You would look at your friend and be like, oh shit, here we go. We got to go back in. All right, let's do it. And you go back in. But in these quests, if there's no danger there, then you run to one spot, you run back like, hey, go back and grab another item for a quest. And you're just, what the hell? Why you just have me get it when I was there? It feels like a chore. It feels like you're running errands as opposed to adventuring or questing. The gather quest used to feel like a break because you actually had to play to defeat mobs. I had to think if I could take it, what abilities and what orders would be best. I had to problem solve. I had to think. I was challenged in some small capacity, and it felt great when I killed something. I felt proud of myself. It feels like if I was playing Mario, only it takes the Goombas like 15 hits to kill Mario. So you can still fall down the gaps in the floor and die, sure, but that's about the only way you can die. So essentially all you're doing is running from one end of the map to the other. It's not just rose-tinted goggles or whatever I'm starting to read on all these forums. A video game should be trying to kill you. I wish Blizzard would sanction Nostalrius like Daybreak did for EverQuest's Project 1999. That was really super cool on their part. Or make some legacy servers like Daybreak did for EverQuest. Although not truly a classic EverQuest experience, still they at least acknowledged that there was a market there for it. People wanted it. So many people would suffer that. Maybe not millions, but it would absolutely make money. I know people who won't touch Live WoW, who would sub to a legacy server. Bugs and all. And I have to say, I think the current sub count reflects on this situation. I don't think it's happenstance that WoW had over 10 million subscribers when it was more challenging. Sure, Warlords brought a lot of people back, but what, half of them left? We're under 5 now, I think. And they won't even, I think they said now they won't even report the current subs. A lot of people who enjoy vanilla WoW probably would never have even heard of Nostalrius. Or private servers, for that matter. Me a year ago, what's a private server? I don't get it. But an official vanilla server promoted by Blizzard, websites and articles talking about it and spreading the news, that would reach a lot more people than just the active online WoW community. That would reach the guy who hasn't played in years, and he may go, oh yeah, I remember that. I remember all the fun I had on there. And even if it doesn't, Nostalrius said they had, 150,000 active players? That's over $2 million a month if Blizzard had their own legacy servers where you had to pay to subscribe to. Then you got to think about all the Twitch streamers in the community that would happen. I think RuneScape's legacy server is more populated than its modern one, right? I could be wrong about that. Maybe Blizzard is scared it would make people not want to play the current expansion. But I think the people who are going to play those expansions would play them anyways, if that makes sense. Again, I played both NOS and Live. I don't like the term retail, I call it Live. The only thing that might happen is people who play on a legacy server goes, oh, I want to check out what this Legion thing's about. Not the other way around. The people who aren't going to play Legion aren't going to play it anyways. My friends who I played Nostalrius with, they're not touching Live WoW. They're not going to do it anyways. But if there was a legacy server, maybe a few of them would go, oh shoot, this cinematic was amazing. Like, what's this transmog stuff? You know, they may want to dabble their feet in it, and then who knows what could happen. I don't think it would hurt. I think it would be more like the current Hearthstone promotion. WoW saw a really big surge in players who came from Hearthstone. I think it would be like that. I don't think it would be the other way around. I even envisioned the announcement in the Battle.net app, the World of Warcraft logo with white frosting around the edges, and in a Hearthstonian-like font, it would say vanilla. Anyways, I want to thank Nostalrius for all their efforts. You can tell it was a project of love and allowing me a chance to be an adventurer again. And lastly, I will say, and I want to point out, Blizzard is doing nothing wrong here. They aren't the bad guys. Everyone's who's going to be boycotting Blizzard games and stuff like that's just nonsense. They're not the bad guys here. They're completely within their rights. It's just unfortunate for the time they don't want to do a legacy server or acknowledge that there is a fan base for it. There's a demand for it. That is unfortunate. But again, they're not wrong. So anyways, all right.